All right. I know people don't want to use dates, but hear me out first because you start cursing me out in the comment section below. All right, here it was. I want to just, quickly share. It's going to be a quick one. AMC reported last Friday or Thursday, I think it was Friday, that, the earnings for Q4, the last quarter of 2021, and for the full year of 2021 will be released on March 1st after the closing bell. I may not be sure about that latest part, but it's going to be March 1st. Right. Why is this important? Because first off, when you take earnings, just think about what happened when they release the preliminary earnings before it gets audited. Because, in order to have official earnings, they have to be audited by another company, PricewaterhouseCoopers or Ernst & Young, et cetera. We call them the Big Four. All right. So these are accounting firms. They have to be audited, and then once they audit, they're signing off. They sign off on that, and then boom, they send it to the regulators and the SEC and everybody else. So what happened then? I don't know if you remember, but the share price jumped big time. All right, and those were not audited, meaning they could have errors in those. Why it jumped? Because a lot more people are paying attention to what is happening with this specific stock for many different reasons that I already explored and mentioned in this last week and last month. All right, so it's kind of obvious that, again, if you want to make money, like big time money in 2022, you need to be holding a little bit of AMC stock if you're scared. But if you are convicted, like pretty much all the retail investors in this play, this is going to be the wildest thing when it starts happening. Maybe in 2022, maybe later. I don't know. Nobody has that answer. But the truth of the matter is, when you look at the facts and the current market conditions, it's very possible that it may happen before the end of 2022. Again, pure speculation from my end on that, because nobody can predict the future. Now, when you take another market, events, you take another date, you take another big catalyst that may potentially also happen in March, all right? It kind of adds up a lot, not a little bit, a lot to the catalyst on this play that can definitely and once and for all make it go literally to the moon. I'm talking about, first off, we have the transparency rule. All right. Remember, the hedge funds don't have to report to the SEC short sell position. All right. And even when they sell, it's like, hey, you do it if you want. If you don't do it. All right. So now that will change. But on top of that, it's going to be something that will have to be done literally at the end of the day. All right. Meaning whatever you're doing in the draw pools or whatever, you need to disclose that. By disclosing that, it exposes what you're doing. So if you're doing something wrong, then you're going to get caught. And even if you don't get caught, by get caught, that doesn't necessarily mean, by the SEC, your business will be out there. And this can attract the short squeeze trend there, the short squeeze followers, the short squeeze seekers, because short selling or short squeezing is a strategy that a lot of people use in the market to make money. All right. Now, if you add to that the whole investigation thing, if you add to that, the dark pool transparency that I mentioned earlier, but in other words, because it's two things. If you add to that the DOJ now trying to use the RICO Act, the Racketeering Act as a federal law to come big time and bring the hammer down on those short sellers, man, can you imagine what it will do to the market? But on top of that, it gets even interesting, because in March, we will have the very first interest rate hike. It's coming. The market already priced that in. Everybody knows in Wall Street that comes March, the Federal Reserve is going to start increasing interest rates. So what happens when interest rates increase? It gets more expensive to hold debt. It gets more expensive to have margin. It gets more expensive, for those short sellers, and more difficult. What it means in simple language is it makes things more difficult for them to continue to hold huge amount of short sell positions. Because so far, if the price have been so down and nobody have sold on the retail side, all right, it means they are still very active there. As a matter of fact, last week, new short sellers came into the play, betting big on the stock going down. So just to tell you that, hey, all of that happening in March maybe March could be it. March could be the month or the time where, the rocket, it's finally fueled and it's time to start climbing higher, and higher. Again, pure speculation from my end, but it's something worth paying attention to. I'm just saying.